In the stillness of dawn, where the first rays of sunlight touch the earth, a quiet revolution of the spirit began. It started over 85 years ago in India, a movement dedicated to the profound transformation of the self and the world. Brahma Kumaris was founded by Dadalat Raj Kirpalani in 1937 in Hyderabad. His spiritual name is Prajapita Brahma, and he is lovingly called Brahma Baba. After experiencing a series of visions in 1936, he was inspired to create a school where the principles and practices of a virtuous and meditative life could be taught. It consisted of a handful of men, women, and children, many of whom decided to stay together as a community. In 1950, the group moved to its present location in Mount Abu, India. Through the years, it has become a self-sufficient community devoting their time to intense spiritual study, meditation, and self-transformation. The journey of Brahma Kumaris to the Philippines began at the Brahma Kumaris Center in San Francisco. It was in 1983, and Marge Enriquez, a young Filipino dance student, found herself far from home, searching for something deeper to fill the void in her heart.
There was this ad about a yogi sitting on the lotus with the rays, under the rays of the sun. And the sign said, peace, purity, and prosperity. Remove your bad habits forever. Free of charge. That seemed like a miracle. So I called up and I asked, do you have a discipline that has mind-body connection? And the person who answered said, we believe that if you can control the mind, the body will follow. And so I took up the 7 days course in Raja Yoga meditation, and I liked it because they teach you how to be aware of yourself. And the second thing, what I really loved, was that you have a relationship with God. He's someone who's so real. You have a relationship with Him like any intimate friend. And so, for me, God became my companion. In the past, my companion was misery and stress. Now my companion has been God.
With the encouragement of her meditation teacher, Sister Chandru Desai, this transformative experience sparked a flame in Marge's heart, a desire to bring Raja Yoga to her homeland. In 1985, the Brahma Kumaris Spiritual Foundation was registered and established in the Philippines. It welcomed people from all walks of life, religion, race, or creed. Through meditation, the center helps people rediscover goodness from within and encourages the development of spiritual awareness, attitude, and behavior. In 1986, the UN International Year of Peace, the institution launched the Million Minutes of Peace Appeal, which reached 88 countries, including the Philippines. As a result of this appeal, Brahma Kumaris received 7 UN Peace Messenger Awards. Brahma Kumaris offers a framework for a life-changing experience by exploring and discovering the most fundamental question: who am I? It is done by becoming adept in 4 areas of study: the study of spiritual knowledge, the practice of Raja Yoga meditation, the conscious assimilation of virtues, and serving others spiritually.
Who am I? What is my relationship with God? What is the purpose of my life? These 3 basic questions were rightfully answered readily by the Brahma Kumaris. And when I had a very clear understanding and perception of all these 3 questions, I told myself, this is the life I want. And after 20 years, I'm still with the Brahma Kumaris, and not just only one of the students, but also one of its teachers. When I practiced meditation, the very few instances, I experienced of being detached from my body. And that experience somehow made me feel that being in that point of light and being immersed in that feeling somehow was, to me, very ethereal, meaning out of this world. And so I began to explore meditation, and the more I immersed myself into that experience, the more I revel into the teachings. We are not just material beings. We are also spiritual beings separate from our material body.
I would look back and see that my life is become simple, no longer complicated, and I'm able to give more time for myself. I'm able to remove all the clutters, those unnecessary things in life, and choose what is only best for me.
Knowing that through meditation and connecting with the divine, and being a child of God and knowing who God is, you have all the qualities already, but it's within yourself. So every day, meditation for me is an invitation to go inside myself, reconnect, and empower the self, which is the soul.
So we teach Raj Yoga meditation in the Brahma Kumaris. What is it? It is an open-eyed meditation. It's a very simple, very versatile way of connecting with the self, connecting with God. Because connecting with the self means rediscovering yourself. If I get depleted, one way to restore that energy is another connection. And that connection is connection with the highest. That's why it's called Raja Yoga, which means connection. And once I get connected with that highest power, I will be given the inner power to face my own weaknesses and my own shortcomings. And having that power, I would be ready to transform myself.
Om Shanti means I am peace. I am peace. So we want to teach and popularize that peace is not outside. The aim of the Brahma Kumaris is to eliminate the negative and the waste. Because my nature is actually peace. To be able to manage my response or reaction to anger, my perception whether I'm hurt or not is actually mine. I cannot blame anyone that I'm not given something which I think I deserve.
Brahma Kumaris opened all the windows and the doors for me so that I went to take the course, and from that time on up until now, I'm still with Brahma Kumaris and practicing Raja Yoga meditation after 39 years. Raja means king And that means you become the ruler of your mind. That is how it is. You're ruler of your senses. And yoga means connection. You're able to connect with your deeper or inner self and able to connect with the highest supreme energy, so that through this you're able to make a resolution for yourself to change whatever you want to change in yourself, so that you're able to live a better, fruitful, productive, happier life. There are challenges along the way as I go through life, through work, family relationship, but I felt like I'm able to bounce back easily. And the other thing is I don't harbor any more ill feelings, regret, or anger.
If I can summarize the benefits that I'm experiencing from learning Raja Yoga, I have four main words. First, self-respect. And second, contentment. And third, love. And fourth, purpose. So these are the main keywords I have, the benefits that I have experienced from learning Raja Yoga.
The services which we are offering to society is about women empowerment. We of course teach them also meditation and how to stay in our self-respect and how to keep confidence growing. And children program which we do is values program, courage, honesty, tolerance, power, because as we see the world has so many challenges in life. So we need also children to grow with the courage to face the life.
It helped me see things differently. If there are situations that are happening, like very difficult situations, especially at work, it's understandable that you get affected at times, that you feel hurt, sometimes you get angry. But with Brahma Kumaris, made me reflect on certain things that are happening in my life, the feelings that I'm feeling. It's helped me acknowledge those feelings and how do I get out of it. I feel like being with the Brahma Kumaris when I was young, I feel like I'm very fortunate because with whatever happened in my life, if it wasn't for the teachings of Brahma Kumaris, I would have given up already.
That's what we teach here in Center for Spiritual Learning. We have retreats that we offer every month, every end of the month. We offer inner peace, inner power. So discovering your inner peace so that you can mobilize your inner power in dealing with the daily stresses of life. Our retreatants also ask for managing stress, how to manage stress. And that means understanding what stress is all about, how to deal with stress, and going deep into our thoughts, how we become more positive in terms of our thinking so that we can transform the wasteful and the negative thoughts that we have in our minds. Also, we have company retreats. Some groups would ask for team building, would ask for organizational development processes. Families also come here for retreats.
The work of BK is spiritual. It's beyond just the physical, and it has to reach a lot of people. Obama was saying that be the change you want to be. With BK, it's sort of the same philosophy. You have to change yourself because the world only follows what you make of it. With BK, it's not just focused on politics or media or education. It's changing yourself, whoever you are, in whatever area you're working. And that's a lot of work that needs to be done.
Since then, Brahma Kumaris Philippines has grown exponentially, touching countless lives across the nation and guiding them towards peace, purity, and a profound connection with the divine. I see that the Brahma Kumaris will be reaching out to more localities, more sectors that we haven't reached. And that means being able to make the spiritual knowledge of the Brahma Kumaris practical to the lives of the Filipinos. And so in the future, it would be good to be able to teach
what we have learned from the Brahma Kumaris in the different local languages. Right now, we've been moving around for the creation of Peace Hubs because for 40th anniversary, we're doing this Peace Hub initiative.
Yeah, my message is that the time has come, that we cannot anymore waste. The time is telling us, calling us to become internally very stable, very strong, and to know you are a beautiful being, a child of God. And being aware that the time is such of difficulty, challenges on earth, we should create and increase our inner abundance of virtues and values and positivity so that we continue to live non-violent life on earth.
As we celebrate 40 years in the Philippines, we look to the future with hope and determination. The journey of Brahma Kumaris is far from over. With each passing day, we continue to grow, spreading the message of peace, love, and spiritual awakening.
Om Shanti, and a very warm welcome to each and every one of you joining us this evening. I hope that video provided us a comprehensive background of what Brahma Kumaris is. We're celebrating over 40 years of service in the Philippines. Tonight's session is timely and deeply relevant, an opportunity for inner renewal, and in the midst of life's many roles and responsibilities, this program tonight offers a timely pause, a moment to reconnect with yourself, to quiet the mind, and listen to the heart. So let us take a moment now to gently arrive into that stillness within. I now take a gentle pause, a pause from everything outside, and I step into the quiet garden of my inner world. I become still. I become present, and I begin to remember who I am. I'm not the noise. I'm not the past. I'm not the stress. I am a soul, pure, peaceful, powerful, eternal. In this awareness, the mind begins to calm. The heart begins to soften. The energy begins to shift. I let go of all that is not me, and I return to what is real. I am light. I am peace. And in this space, renewal begins. Om Shanti. For our program tonight, we'll have two 20-minute sharing segments by our yogi resource person, each followed by a short reflective meditation, just like what we did earlier. Then we'll move into a Q&A where you'll have a chance to engage with our guests' insights. Lastly, we'll share with you some upcoming programs you may wish to join. Tonight's session is titled Renew Your Mind and Heart. And we are honored and happy to have with us a truly wise and compassionate guide, Brother Yogesh Sharda. He has been a student and teacher of Raja Yoga meditation for over 30 years and coordinates the Brahma Kumaris activities in Turkey. And as a personal development trainer, he brings deep insights into how ancient wisdom can transform modern life, especially in the world of work and leadership. I am delighted to present to you, and of course, hearty welcome to our dear brother Yogesh to guide us into the first part of this evening's reflection. Over to you now, brother Yogesh.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. As always, such a warm and generous introduction. I really wonder if I'm worthy of all that. But you have such a big heart, so I accept. And as you mentioned, we're looking at renewal of mind and heart. And in a way, the meditation that we had with Jonathan really encapsulates all of that. But I'd like to share some of my own insights and experiences, observations over the years. And I guess the first question which comes to me is, why would I need to renew mind and heart? Is there a need to do this? And if so, why? And the answer would come was that when the mind and the heart feel tired, then some kind of renewal or refreshment is certainly needed. And how can we live in such a way that we can maintain freshness, enthusiasm, the vitality of happiness in our minds and our hearts as we pass through life? We all know that we are passing through challenging times, unpredictable times. And so it calls us to ask ourselves, how am I living? Am I living the life that I would like to live? And in this regard, I like to share three groups of people that I observe. One is people who are simply passengers as they pass through life. It's like a person who sits in the back seat and thinks that something called life is driving them. Situations and circumstances are driving such a person's life. If good things happen, they are happy. If not such good things happen, they are sad or they're upset or they're despondent. They kind of tend to shrug their shoulders and say, well, what can I do? Life is like that. Then there is a second group, and these are people who fight with life. When they see something they don't like, when they experience some form of injustice, whether it's towards them or they see it towards somebody else, or it's what we see on the world news, then they begin to fight with that in their mind. They create a confrontation. And this generates some tension and aggressive energy in their minds. And such people tend to walk around wearing a war face. It's quite tiring to be in the company of such a person, as their energy is demanding a lot from you. But then there is a third group, and this is the group that I think we are all interested in. And I would say this is the smallest group. And these are people who are not just passengers, not just fighters, but those who are explorers. And that means we want to understand the mechanism of life. We want to understand how and why things happen the way they are. We want to look into and discover the laws and the principles, the systems by which life moves. And that's very much part of the life of a Raja Yogi, a person who realizes that what we see, hear, taste, touch, and smell is only a very small fraction of reality. The greater part of reality is the invisible. And that is to do with our thought energy, our attitudes, and our consciousness. And it's for this reason that sometimes it is said that when a person honestly and genuinely steps onto the inner pathway, the inner journey, it's like a third eye opens, an eye which can now see what has always been there, but you could not see it before. So let's explore some simple ideas about what we can look at to help us to live a life which is more meaningful, where we feel our mind and heart is refreshed, is happy, and is focused. I have a few slides to share with you as well. So let me just come to the first one here. And so here is an idea of a plan that we generally have for life. And this is telling us that as we enter into life, most of us, broadly speaking, enter this kind of plan. We are told that the aim of life is, well, be happy, be surrounded by love, have peace of mind, feel secure, feel content, and so on. So this is our aim, to live a happy and peaceful life, a life where you receive and share love with others. But then we are also told that in order to reach that aim, you first have to acquire the means to get to that aim. The means are these. Well, first you need a good education, and that'll get you a good job. And through that, you can earn a good salary, and then you can buy your dream house, your car, your holidays, you can travel, and so on. So that's the basic plan. But something has happened, I would say, within the last few decades especially, and that is that the means has become the new aim. That is, all our attention and focus goes on acquiring the education, the job, the salary, the house, etc., etc. And we tend to be rather consumed by all of these things. And we may forget that the real aim is to have peace of mind. Am I happy? Am I content? Do I live with dignity? Am I the boss, the owner, the manager of my own peace of mind or happiness? Or is it that I do acquire these means, but I also have lots of stress and lots of then perhaps physical problems too? So spirituality teaches us what to prioritize in our life. It doesn't mean that we should not try to achieve things in life. We should, but not at the expense of our peace of mind and our happiness, and also our good and healthy relationships with others. In other words, always keep in mind, can I live a life with peace? Can I live a life with happiness? And I think that kind of internal shift is needed in order to maintain the energy of our mind and our heart, such that we feel our life is meaningful. Let's look at another formula to see how we live and perhaps how we can live better. So now here comes the second slide here. So you see two sentences or two equations here. And the first one is telling us, I don't get what I want. And the result of that is I may feel disappointed. Second one is I get what I don't want, or I get who I don't want. And the result of that is stress. So we've broken this down into A, B, and C, as you can see here. So C is the emotion that we experience. In this case, disappointment and also stress. And we want to change C. We don't want to live with disappointment or live with stress. So in order to change C, what should we change? Should we work on A or should we work on B? Now, usually the way we live today, which creates a lot of tiredness, is we are told work on A, that is the getting part. And we make a lot of effort to try to get what we want. So the mind creates lots of desires, and then we spend a lot of energy chasing after those desires to try to fulfill them. And we feel that if I get what I want, then I'll be happy. So our consumerist society, the world we live in today, is all about getting stuff, getting things. But what about the other part of the sentence? I don't get what I want. What about the wanting part? Now, spirituality puts the focus on that. What do you want? And why do you want all of those things? And when I say things, it's not just about objects or property or possessions, but even the more non-physical, subtle things that we chase after, which cause a lot of anxiety in our lives. For example, the wanting of respect, the wanting to be noticed, the wanting to be praised, the wanting for some kind of appreciation, so on and so forth. So spirituality asks us, why do you want all these things? What is behind all this wanting? Let's explore the wanting part rather than just the getting or not getting part. And therefore, this invites us into a deep dive within our own consciousness to understand what actually is going on there. So now comes the next graphic to understand these two types of desires or what we chase after in our lives, and what can we do in order to live a more fulfilled and happy life. So here we are. You see on the left we have what we call as eternal desires, and on the right are what we term here as the temporary desires. Now the list is not exhaustive. We can add a lot more things, but some basic things that we desire temporarily. I've mentioned some already. We may desire to be praised by someone. We may desire prestige or status or some kind of honor. We may desire possessions and property, feeling I'll be more secure and happy when I have those. We may desire some power, that may be some kind of position, perhaps. And then some of the things I mentioned a few minutes ago. We may be attention seeking. We may desire attention from others or from a particular person. We may work very hard doing a lot of things for others, but underneath that, there may be a desire to be appreciated, or at least to be acknowledged. At least somebody should point out and thank me for what I'm doing. The desire to be accepted and admired or acknowledged, or the approval of others. So what happens when we chase after these temporary desires is it causes the mind and the heart to feel rather tired, exhausted, a little bit burnt out. And that's what we call as the outside-in lifestyle. And outside-in means I'm trying to bring from the outside into myself in order to feel secure and happy and safe. Chasing after temporary desires is a wild goose chase. You will never be fully content. What we discover in Raja Yoga meditation, in spirituality, is that behind every want, there is a need. And what are the needs or the eternal desires of every person, every being, every soul? Every human being wants peace of mind. Every human being wants to feel and receive love and respect from others. Every human being would like to experience happiness, self-respect, and so on. And so this is telling us that rather than chasing after those temporary desires, go towards the eternal desires or the needs of the soul. And there is some further good news. The good news is each of these eternal desires, this peace, this love, this happiness, etc., they already exist within every person, within the consciousness of every person, but in seed form, as a seed. Now, those seeds need to be watered in order for them to germinate. The name of that process of watering the seeds, that's what we call as meditation, as self-awareness, or as living in soul consciousness. The more I'm aware of my authentic, true spiritual reality, which is I am a spiritual energy, spiritual being. I am a peaceful soul, a peaceful energy. The more I live in that awareness, the more I'm watering those seeds of truth inside me, and they will begin to emerge. I'll feel a great sense of renewal and also a lot more energy, because the mind will stop chasing after things from other people. I think it's true to say, it sounds a little bit harsh, but I do think it's true to say that if you want something from someone, then prepare to suffer. Yeah, sorry to put it like that. But when the mind chases after appreciation, respect, acknowledgement, then there's a lot of tiredness and disappointment there, emotional suffering. This is telling us within you, already you have so much power. You have love inside you, you have peace inside you, you have strength inside you. Acknowledge it, water it, and allow it to come out. So this is the opposite of the outside-in model, is the inside-out model. Living from the inside, emerging your spiritual treasures from the inside, sharing them, allowing them to radiate out into your life, your work, and your relationships. So let's do this. We're going to have a little meditation to just reflect on some of these things, and then we will continue with part 2. So if you're sitting on a chair, you may like to have your back straight, your feet flat on the floor. And I would just invite you to contemplate on a few thoughts I would like to suggest. So we sit for a few moments. I just want to be with myself. I know the world outside of me is a world of action, a world of sound. It is the world of doing. And I cannot control the world outside of me. But there is also a world inside me. And that is the world of my thoughts, my feelings, my experiences. And the world inside me is in my own hands. And so I start by asking myself, who am I? I am not the roles I play every day. I am not the labels I carry through life. I am not even the masks that I wear in daily life. Who am I behind the roles? Who am I behind the labels? Who am I behind the masks? And even when I look in the mirror and see the reflection of my face, my body, there is more to me than simply this. So I bring my attention up towards my face. I bring my attention to the center of my forehead. And here I picture this wondrous star of peaceful light. This beautiful star of peaceful energy in the center of my forehead. This is the star of peace. This is the inner being of light. This is me. I am this living point of spiritual energy. I am light and I am peace. Let me be with these thoughts for a few moments. I am eternal. I am light. I am peace. So if this helps, it really is important to do this at least once a day, going from the doing mode to the being mode. We know that in the world of doing outside, it's not possible to control. Things are moving very, very fast. So we need to be able to go to that place of stability, safety, security, and stillness within our own selves in order to own our peace of mind and our happiness. The mind needs it, but also the mind deserves it. And we can see that this is one of the forms of intelligence that is required for meaningful living today. There are three main types of intelligence. And the one that we most commonly hear about is, of course, IQ, intelligence quotient. But that's really, broadly speaking, to do with how we take care of, how we manage or how we handle things. Things means objects, resources, where we need to use our rational intelligence, logic, analysis, and so on. And of course, that's important. Then the one which people also have become aware of in the last 2 or 3 decades is EQ. That is, how should we handle other people? What are the skills required to handle difficult personalities? What about managing your own ego? How does that work out? Now, we have seen that when a person has ego-based behavior, it just makes the life of people very, very difficult. So how to handle your own ego and how to handle the ego of other people, how to handle being criticized or failure, etc., etc. So emotional quotient or emotional intelligence we need, especially when it comes to relationships and dealing with other people. But then the third one, which is slowly people are beginning to realize is also important, is what here we describe as SQ, or spiritual intelligence, spiritual quotient. That is very much to do with your own self. In other words, how is your relationship with your own self? And spiritual intelligence encapsulates two main things. One is your sense of identity. How clear are you about who you are? The second thing is to do with your sense of purpose in your life. And I found that these two things, who am I and why am I doing what I am doing, these two questions take you to the very core of who you are, to the very center of your consciousness. Journey to the very center of your inner world. These are the two questions which can take you there. They take you to the engine room of your soul. You discover what motivates you, what demotivates you, what's important to you, what your values are. And when you have a sense of these things and you begin to live from there, then your life becomes very authentic and you also become unstoppable if you're living from that place. Now, one thing which causes tiredness for the mind and the heart is not knowing what I should be doing. And let's have another graphic here to show what happens to many of us as we pass through life. So here is an individual who wants to make some changes in his or her life. And so this person has lots of ideas. And each of these arrows represents a different idea. So for example, this person may say, I need to get some new qualifications, I need to get some new friends, I need to move house, to change my job, etc., etc. But the problem is, of course, all of these arrows are going in different directions. So 6 months later, this person will still have lots of good ideas, but none of them will have become practical because the mind is going different directions. Here is that same individual after he or she has spent some time really looking inward, understanding himself or herself. So as you see here, this person is now running, racing towards an aim or a destination. And all of those arrows are still there. The job, the qualifications, maybe the new friends, maybe the car, maybe the new look, whatever it might be. But all of these arrows have been magnetized and are now going in the same direction. The question arises, what has magnetized all of these arrows? And the answer is that one big arrow which you see passing through this individual, passing through the person. That big arrow represents having a clear sense of purpose. And this is why it is so important for each person to ask themselves very honestly, very calmly, what is the purpose of my life? Where am I going? Now, the answer may not come immediately, but if we are open and begin to reflect upon this question, I do find that signs, clues, and signals from life come towards you. Benefits of this is when your mind has a clear sense of purpose, then it leads to being focused. Purpose enables the mind to become focused. And where there is focus, then you will naturally generate determination, energy of determination. And determination is the key to success. If we want to experience this deep down renewal of mind and heart of our lives, I think this is the place to start, asking myself, what is the purpose of my life? In fact, for anything that you do, and I find sometimes if I feel a bit demotivated or disorientated, I always come back to this question, why am I doing this? Whatever I may be doing, even some daily activity, why am I doing this? What is the aim here? What's the purpose? What am I trying to achieve? And just becoming conscious of that immediately gets the mind focused, and your best energies, your best abilities are called forth, and you're able to apply them into whatever you may be doing. So you can use that question for your daily life, but also you can use the question for your life in general. What is the purpose of my life? And one thing about purpose is it's not something to create, but it's something to discover. It already exists. Every human being, every soul has some special purpose within them. And it's up to me to discover it and then live in alignment with that. Then the other thing about SQ, as I mentioned, one is purpose, the other is identity. And we spend a lot of time exploring identity because it really is the pivotal moment in life when you discover your true sense of identity. Now, the human race in general today is passing through a global identity crisis. I think it's easy to see that when we just see what's happening in the world. Humanity is lost. The beginning of the solution to anything, whether it's a global or it's individual, is exploring this question of who am I? How do I answer the question, who am I? The answer that I give to that answer then is the basis of my entire life experience. Let's look at some ideas to understand more closely the question of identity, why we need to seriously explore this today. So here are 3 levels of identity. As you can see, these 2 outer layers are connected with the things that you have or the things that you do. So generally speaking, when you ask a person, well, who are you? They will tell you what they do or what they have. So for example, they'll tell you their job or their nationality or their religion or their position or status in something, or whether they may be a mother or a grandfather or somebody's brother or sister, etc., etc. But all of these labels are connected to what I do and what I have, but not to who I am. And here's the thing, when you identify with what you do and what you have, this generates this slippery, slimy, shape-shifting creature, which is called as ego. Where there is ego, then ego-based emotions will necessarily exist. And those are all the emotions which cause tiredness to the mind and the heart, such as anger, anxiety, worry, fear, revenge, so on and so forth. So what we're learning here in Raja Yoga meditation is I am not what I have, I am not what I do, but I am. I am the being. I am the inner self. Now, it's not enough just simply to know this or to accept it or to believe it, but what is truly important is to live this, to live it at every moment. As we pass through the day-to-day life, carrying out our daily duties and responsibilities, can I do that whilst living in the awareness of my true inner identity? That is, I am this inner spiritual energy, which some call the soul, the Ruh, the Atma, the inner self. Simply being aware of that is a game changer. Being aware of my true spiritual identity. What has happened is that our inner self has become polluted. And this is basically the problem in the world today. That consider this circle or this orb just to represent your consciousness. That's what we have done today, is we have placed all of these forms of ego masks or ego identities into our consciousness. So our spirit has become polluted, spiritual pollution, and that causes all the problems in life, the tiredness, the difficulties in handling the challenges of daily life. Now, all of these things you can call as forms of darkness. And how do you deal with darkness? How do you fight the darkness? How do you remove the darkness? Well, you don't. What you do is you bring in the light. And the more the light exists, the more the darkness is dispelled. So darkness and light here represent ignorance and awareness of true self. The more I can maintain the awareness of true self, my spiritual identity, the more naturally that darkness will be dispelled from my life. Then just one more thing in terms of renewal in our relationships. Now, relationships are essential for human life, and they can be the things which bring soaring experiences, but also they can cause a great deal of discomfort too. How can we spiritualize our relationships so they become areas in which we are able to express the best of ourselves, our divinity, and also take from others what is also divine and good? Now, this asks us to not just be aware of our own spirituality, but also to see the other also as another spiritual being. So, are you ready for another image? Here we go. Hope these images are useful for you. So this we call as soul-to-soul communication. So as you can see on the left is one individual, one soul, one being covered by his or her ego masks, such as religion, culture, social status, maybe caste, nationality, gender, age, etc., which are all our physical characteristics, physical definitions. And on the right is another person, another soul, another being, also with their own set of ego masks. And what usually happens in our relationships is my ego masks are talking to your ego masks. And sometimes when there's a similarity, then we come together, we can be friends, we can partner up. Where there is a difference, then, oh, you are different to me, you're my enemy, or you're just not my cup of tea. And so then our relationships become emotional, ups and downs, ups and downs. But here we are spiritualizing our relationships and we are learning to have soul-to-soul communication. So I become aware of my spiritual identity. And when I'm rooted in my spiritual identity, then my vision will be able to cut through all of your ego masks, and I will see you first and foremost as another spiritual being, as another soul. And that takes a lot of practice. Think about this, that when any person you meet, stranger, a friend, a relative, what's the first thing you see? Let me practice being aware of my spiritual identity, seeing the other first also as another spiritual being. When we develop that practice, it creates a bridge of acceptance and respect. And over that bridge, we can communicate openly, honestly, with our dignity intact. And this brings wonderful results in our relationships. We learn to give happiness and not to accept sorrow. Even if somebody is giving us sorrow, we won't absorb it. We'll take care of our inner environment by keeping my dignity, my self-respect, my honor, my peace of mind, which then enables me to share that also with others. Okay, so we're coming to the end of the second part, and time now to have our second meditation. So once again, if you can, have your back straight, feet on the floor. So we continue from where we were in the first meditation. I'm aware of myself as this beautiful star of peaceful light. I, the spiritual energy, the living, conscient, radiant being of peaceful light. I realize that deep inside me, there has always been a reservoir of inner peace. I now invite this inner peace to emerge. I realize this peace is my truest and my deepest nature. I am peace. I am light. I am silent. I am safe. I am strong. I am balanced. I am free. As I experience these inner treasures of mine being released, I am able to share these with those around me. I choose to share this energy of peace, this energy of love, this energy of joy with whoever may be around me. For this is my nature. I experience and I express. And as I share these beautiful spiritual energies with those around me, my relationships stabilize, harmonize, and I'm able to offer the best of me to all. Okay, thank you. We stop there. Just
Thank you,
invite.
Brother Yogesh. Thank you very much for such enriching, profound sharing. We'll now move into the Q&A portion and open the floor to your questions. There are requests earlier if this session can be posted in YouTube, and actually we're confirming that this session will actually be posted with Brahma Kumaris in the YouTube, because they're supposed to be live streamed as well in Facebook. But for those who are actually inquiring about the posting of this session, yes, we will do. If you may have questions, please feel free to use the chat room in the comment section, so we can actually raise these questions to Brother Yogesh. Brother Yogesh, maybe to start the ball rolling, in the context of tonight's program to renew our mind and heart, what do you think are the indicators of a renewed mind and heart? And what does a renewed life look like?
Well, I like the phrase that just as the body needs oxygen to live, so too our inner self, our inner mind and heart needs happiness. So I think one of the signs of renewal is you have a natural joy within you, which belongs to you, a natural enthusiasm for life. And this also indicates less dependency on people and situations to make you feel happy. You carry that happiness and joy with you wherever you go. It's like, refreshing, having a refresher. Your mind is bubbling. So creativity comes out, joy comes out, and your heart becomes bigger. That is, the capacity to love increases.
Thank you very much for those points, Brother Yogesh. Again, if you may have questions, please feel free to use the chat room. Brother Yogesh, I like the equation you actually shared earlier regarding disappointment and stress. If you don't get what you want, you get disappointed, right? And if you get what you don't want, you get stress. So from this equation, how can we train the mind to remain peaceful when we don't get what we want instead of falling into disappointment?
Well, the question I ask myself is, what do I want here? And why do I want what I want? So I focus on the wanting, and usually it's like, you want some opportunity, or you want some respect from someone, or you want your honor to be taken care of. And then I ask myself, why do I want this from this person or from this place? It already exists within me. So I try and turn the focus away from trying to grab it from others to make me feel better on the inside. I realize, let me maintain my self-respect. And if I remember my self-respect, I will feel very secure inside, and I will stop wanting respect from others. But then others give me respect or don't give me respect, it's okay. Whether others appreciate and acknowledge what I did or not, it's okay. Because my self-value, my dignity, my self-respect belongs to me rather than, it's externalized. So I just remind myself of these things, and it helps to come away from those feelings of disappointment or
Stress.
upset, etc.
Yeah. Can you share this self-respect points, Brother Yogesh, that so I can be able to overcome, disappointment and stress?
Well, the simple ones are this, that my peace of mind and my happiness are my personal property, non-negotiable, full stop. That's the first one. It's like I'm talking to myself. It's not about talking to somebody else or making them understand that, but it's talking to myself, because the mind has the habit, of reacting. Especially in relationships, if somebody doesn't talk to you the way you would like, or they're a little bit rude, or they ignore you, or they overlook you, or all those things, the mind, like a kind of a guard dog, snarls and says, how dare he talks to me like this? That's against my respect. Talking to myself, mind, hold on, mind. Your peace of mind, your happiness is your personal property, full stop. So then it trains the mind to stop being over concerned with how others are talking or behaving, and rather being more concerned with how is my state of mind, how is my consciousness. Then it just becomes a habit to live like that. And also you find you're able then to be very pleasant towards others, and they begin to notice that, hey, how come you didn't shout back at me? How come you didn't get angry like you used to? And you say, well, no, you can't, nothing can upset me anymore because I'm the boss of my happiness.
Is not that also something like the person concerned is meek or weak rather than strong and forceful? Because, for example, when you have a position like you're a manager in a company, they constantly demand that you remain aggressive and a fighter, and what you actually shared earlier, more than an explorer.
Well, yeah, I think aggression may bring short-term results, but they don't last very long. Because when you're aggressive towards someone, you hurt that person's heart. And when a person's heart is hurt, for example, they're insulted or you've embarrassed them or you made them feel like a fool in front of others, then they will look for some kind of revenge at some point. That revenge may mean sabotaging your success, not working as hard as before, or whatever it might be. So instead of aggression, I would say assertiveness is the way to behave in work settings where and when it's needed. Let me just say one or two more things about that. You know, sometimes people think that to be spiritual means to be nice and to be weak. No. Spiritual means to be nice and to be strong, both together. Now, some people become nice and weak. They go to the extremes. Or some people become strong but very forceful, very dominant, kind of aggressive personality. But the midpoint is there. Be nice, but also be strong. And the image which I like to think about here is make your personality like a diamond. Now, a diamond is a very beautiful thing. It's an amazing creation of nature. And any person who holds a diamond, educated, uneducated, tall, short, young, old, would say it's a beautiful thing. But it's also the toughest substance on the earth. So to have a diamond personality means to have this inner strength and outer niceness. You know, both together like an iron hand wearing a velvet glove. Both should be there. Be strong on the inside so you can't be pushed around, you don't take sorrow, you can't be upset. But externally, okay, be virtuous, be kind, be gentle. The two must go together.
Hey, thank you for sharing that. There's a good news, no? We're now actually live in the Facebook. So we're getting questions from Facebook as well, Brother Yogesh. And I'd like to read one of the questions from the Facebook. What is to be done when a goal presents itself, possibly too late, maybe a loving relationship with a previously estranged family member, when it seems like there's no time left? Perhaps the person is, or you yourself are, at the end of physical life. Is one to understand that it is really an illusion, and so it's best not to spend thought, time, and energy on working towards it?
The first sentence was when a goal presents itself.
Yes, too late. Maybe a loving relationship with a previously estranged family member, when it seems like there's no time left.
Well, I think, you know, we should just try to maintain good wishes, positive thoughts for others all the time. And even in those situations, if physically you can't spend time with people, but even if you think of someone, just send them good thoughts, good wishes, positive feelings, and those will reach them in the form of a gift. You know, thoughts and vibrations, they travel across time and space. And if I want to send the best of me to someone and I can't do it verbally or physically to be with that person, at least in the mind, send your good thoughts and good wishes, and it will help that person at a moment of need in their lives.
Yeah, there's another question this time in the Zoom. We tend to use sleeping, eating, or scrolling in stressful situations. How can we be inspired to higher means of renewal?
Sorry, you're cutting out a bit there. Would you mind just repeating that?
like this.
Yeah, sorry, Jonathan. I think my internet was shaking there, so I missed a little bit of what you were
Maybe,
saying.
brother,
On my,
are you
on my
there?
screen you're frozen. Okay, now you're back.
Yeah.
Could you possibly say it again, please?
Right. There's a question from Zoom. We tend to use sleeping, eating, or scrolling in stressful situations. How can we be inspired to higher means of renewal all the time, or probably rather than do this means like sleeping, eating, or scrolling? What other ways we can do to overcome stressful situations?
Yeah, I think we have to look at our lifestyle there. Because if we do those things, sleeping, eating, scrolling, it's an escape. It's just a
Right.
diversion from what we should be doing. I think our life needs to have more meaning and have a clear aim. And so in spirituality, we would say, yes, you start your day with some meditation and then some spiritual study. These two things are the foundation of the day. But then also make it an aim for yourself that try to help or to spiritually serve at least one person every day. Then your mind will become focused and creative in finding ways by which you can share something useful or beneficial for others. When the mind is not occupied or engaged, it can become self-destructive, which means, negative and wasteful habits can emerge. So it's important to fill your time positively and productively and give some homework to yourself every day. Second thing I would mention is it's important to be part of a community or a group or a team where other people also are moving in the same direction as you. Spending too much time on your own, again, can be a bit destructive. But when you're working, interacting with others, then it keeps you on your toes, it keeps you attentive and disciplined, and therefore waste time is reduced when you're involved in something you enjoy and something you're doing with other people.
Mhm. Well, sometimes, brother, we know what needs to change, but fear holds us back. How can we renew our courage to act?
Well, let me show you an image here if I can. Um, Something about coming out
Fear.
of our comfort zone, see? And the fear zone.
Mhm.
Hope you can see this colorful image.
Yes, we can see it.
Yeah, so here is where does fear exist? Well, we all like to stay in our comfort zones. And as you can see here, because it's comfortable, you feel safe and you feel in control, like this, I think that's a donkey there. And the zone immediately outside of that is the fear zone. And nobody likes to experience fear. And when we do experience that, we may find excuses to go back to the comfort zone. We may be affected by other people's opinions that, oh, this is really not for you. You should go back to where you were. We may lack confidence. But this is where we need courage to know that this fear will not last forever. Pass through the fear zone and you will come out of it and you'll enter into the learning zone. One reason we fear fear is because we think we'll always experience it. But no, face the fear and it will finish and your comfort zone will actually begin to grow.
Mhm.
You enter the learning zone. In any area of life, you'll acquire new skills, you'll know how to deal with challenges and problems. You'll feel comfortable with what you felt discomfort with before. And as you continue to move out of that zone, then you enter what here is called the growth zone, but I would prefer calling it the thriving zone. And that's where you're living your dreams. It's like your wings are open. You've really discovered your ikigai, as it were, your raison d'être, as they say in French, your reason to live. You set new goals, you conquer objectives. And so the donkey has changed into a unicorn,
Wow. Yeah.
as you see here. So it's important, I find, to have that kind of image that, okay, there is some fear here, but it's not the end. Pass through the fear zone, and there are other zones I will reach.
Mhm.
And either I can spend my entire life in my comfort zone and stagnate and decay, or if I want to discover what I'm truly capable of, let me face the fear, move through it, knowing that if I keep courage with me and if I'm honest, help will come from around me and also from upstairs, and I'll be able to reach my thriving zone.
Yeah, thank you very much for sharing how to manage fear, Brother Yogesh. Let's now discuss emotional wounds, which can actually harden the heart. How do we renew hope and peace when we face repeated disappointments or betrayals? What can forgiveness do when we face all these emotional scars?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, if the scars are deep, we do need some help and support. Depends on how deep those scars are. And forgiveness doesn't just mean, I forgive, but then again, the same thing happens again and again. Um, Forgiveness, of course, is for the benefit of the forgiver rather than the forgiven. It's
Mhm.
not I forgive you, but I choose to let go because I no longer want to hold on to this bitter and toxic energy, which is eating away at my happiness or peace of mind. Now, in terms of what somebody may have done or said to me, according to the law of karma, which is another subject, each person will, of course, have to face their own actions at some point. So I don't need to be the policeman of the law of karma and say, come on, it's about time this person suffered. No, not my business. But forgiveness for me is that I choose to let go because I want to move on. Plus, let me learn the lesson that I don't take the sorrow or hurt on board again in the future. So two things are there. Let go of the hurt, but learn the lesson so same thing does not happen again, and I maintain my dignity and my inner peace.
I hope Brother Yogesh doesn't mind, but I'd like to put him on the spot with our next question. Brother Yogesh, have you been betrayed, and how was it? How did you apply emotional first aid to overcome it?
Emotional first date. Um, yeah, well, I don't know if I'd use the word betrayed, but I would say let down or disappointed or maybe deceived. These different things. And the thing that I reminded myself of is that the way I feel is entirely my choice, my responsibility. So whatever somebody may have said or done, which was not right, it's their business. I don't need to go into that. But let me remind myself, I am the owner of my peace of mind and my happiness. It's a sentence I, come back to again and again. And I will learn through this. This will make me
I think Brother
stronger.
Yogesh is on
This,
a frozen mode.
this will make me wiser. This will make me stronger. I will grow through this. And that every experience is a training for me to become better and better and better. So then I learned not to keep thinking about what a fool I was or how could I have been like that. But this will train me to become better and better. So let go and move on. Let go and move on. That phrase has been very helpful for me.
And maybe let go and let God. Can you share something about it, Brother Yogesh, as well?
That's also true. Let go and let God. That one of the things as we learn about the relationship with God is that God loves a clean and honest heart.
Mhm.
And so, if I am working on that within myself, cleaning out my heart from negative thoughts, negative feelings about others, even my own trash from the past, if I'm doing that inner cleaning for myself, then definitely you feel God's help and support in guiding you towards the right direction.
Probably we'll have two or, a question or two, Brother Yogesh, before we conclude this session. This comes from Zoom. Directed to Brother Yogesh, you seem to have practiced soul consciousness as it has become so natural in your awareness. What qualities have you learned from Daddy Janky? Please share.
I mean, so many, you need 3 hours to answer this question.
But probably
But
for the next session, we can expound on that, Brother Yogesh. Maybe
I
one or
mean,
two.
one of the things, some of you know that daddies, they are the tremendous qualities, but I think one of the unique things about Daddy Janki was she cared so deeply for so many over such a long period of time. It was astonishing. I remember once we were with her in a gathering, and there were maybe 400 people in the gathering, and she said, I know the details, the life details of 95% of you. And it was true, because many of us would go to her with our questions we had or problems we had or whatever it was. So she would know the intimate details of people's lives. And I thought, how can one person care for so many people so deeply? So she just had this a lot of self-sacrifice and a very big heart, just to want people to be better, to be stronger, and to reach their full potential, and not to keep people's mistakes in your mind, but just to keep the best of them in your mind, which subtly and energetically encourages them to also move towards their full potential.
Mhm. Maybe this is our last question. Brother Yogesh, in a world facing wars, climate change, AI, and uncertainty, how can one person's renewed mind and heart make a difference?
I missed one word. How can something?
How can one person's renewed mind and heart make a difference?
Well, firstly, we need to understand the context of why all these things are happening, these wars and AI and corruption. There's a context to understand that the human race is currently passing through a very dark phase. It hasn't always been like this, and it won't always be like this. But the difference one can make is when I am moving towards my own best self, I will be physically, but also energetically encouraging others to do that too. And to be an example is the best way by which we can share truth. And we mentioned Daddy Janki, and thousands have been inspired by her, but the same goes for us. The more you move towards your best self, the more you will influence others through your own behavior. I say start with your family, your friends, your work colleague, your circle. See the difference it makes there. Then that will then, echo out, ripple out to others as well. Plus, the big guy upstairs is watching. And if I do something with an honest heart and with courage, help will come from upstairs to make things move in the right direction.
Yeah, the mind and heart must be very open to receive, the touchings from the one up there. Thank you, Brother Yogesh. You never fail to amaze us with your insightful gems. We hope you can join us again for a meaningful session together with our brothers and sisters, not just in the Philippines, because I heard we also have listeners from other countries as well, China, Hong Kong in particular. So as we come to a close, we thank you also, our dear participants, for sharing your time and presence with us tonight. Can you please open your video and let's say thank you to Brother Yogesh?
I was just in Hong Kong last week, and so big hello
So,
to all of you once again. I can see you.
and of course, to our most brother Yogesh, thank you so much for your wisdom and gentle presence. Truly, we are very grateful. And before we go, here are two upcoming programs that Brahma Kumaris Makati warmly invite you to on June 14. I hope you can flash the art card for this. On June 14, Food and Soul, which is an in-person retreat exploring mindful nourishment for both body and spirit. And of course, on June 21, International Day of Yoga. So please join us in a special celebration hosted by the Embassy of India as we come together in unity and stillness. Of course, details will be posted on our Facebook page and shared via email. So tonight, as we end this program, let us always remember when the world feels heavy, it just takes one spark to light the path. And as we've heard from Brother Yogesh, that actually spark is within you. The power to renew your mind and heart, to uplift yourself and others, begin when you remember who you are. Peaceful, positive, powerful soul. Thank you for being with us. Om Shanti. Again, thank you, Brother Yogesh. Thank you to all our participants.